Hey all, welcome to ShareTreck. It's the 1st of February 2022 and it's almost 12:45, slightly late to make this video, but really happy to be here. The markets have been looking good. We'll soon have a look at that. Meanwhile, let us start off with the CRISPR industry news. Three biotech stocks that could deliver 5x gains by 2030. So this is an article that came in Motley Fool, and one of the shares that he's talking about is CRISPR Therapeutics, which we are already covering. The other two are Marvai Life Sciences and Twist Bioscience. We have not covered these two, and I haven't heard of these before. So I'm going to have a look at them and see if they are really good, and if so, I'll bring it to you and we can take it from there. If any of you have already been following this, please put your comments in the comments below, and I'll take it from there. So having said that, the other item that comes to my mind is this article in Yahoo Finance, which says Sarepta Therapeutics and GenEdit share progress on research collaboration and announce agreement to develop gene editing therapeutics for neuromuscular diseases. So this is just a statement of intent, and I think it's in initial stages, because neither of these parties have got anything in advanced stage. Just going to have a look at this and see if worthwhile to pursue, and I'll bring them to you. Apart from this, I haven't seen anything in today's news. Now let's go on to look at our indices. That's where we always begin. Let's first get started with the VXN. I hope the screen is big enough and the lines are clearly visible. So to start with, I'm really happy with the way the VXN is performing today. This is a long-term view, and each of these candles are 1 day. And you can see that this is today's candle. It is being restricted by the 20-day EMA, which is this red line. It's also bounded by 30.70, which is our earlier support, which has now become a resistance. And we are looking at a support of 27.81, which is this green line below that we have to break through. And following that, we'll have a 50-day EMA at 27.13 that we need to break through and go below. Our MACD, as you can see, is turning and crossing over the signal line and going bearish, which is a really, really good sign. And we also have our RSI momentum, which is falling. That's also a very good sign for the VIX, because this would mean that it's going to fall down further. Since the VXN doesn't operate in a vacuum, we also have to be having we should not forget all the geopolitical risks that we have, as well as the tapering, interest rate, and other things. Those are all the things which actually impact this indicator. So keep an eye out for that. If you look at the 10-year yield, it's gone up 0.62. It's gone to 1.791, inching closer to where we were at the beginning of the year. So that's also a very good sign. And let's go on to NASDAQ. NASDAQ is marginally down by 0.04%. And we are just above this support at 14227.00. Earlier in the day, we were trying to break above it. So I'm going to wait for the end of the day to see whether I can mark this as a support. So we have to validate this and stay above this throughout the day for that purpose. Our next challenge out here for the NASDAQ is this red line, which is a 20-day EMA. We have to break through that in order to make further progress. And if I look at the MACD, it is bullish. It's the exact opposite of what was happening in the VXN. And our momentum is also picking up. It's going towards the neutral, and it's moving sideways. So overall, I'm expecting that the market might stay a bit positive or flat to end the day, because we have to remember that the VXN has come down. So there should be some gains for us. But because, as I mentioned earlier to you, the NASDAQ consists of components which are heavyweights and which have a disproportionate influence over the index. So if you look at Apple has gone down 1.61%. It's at a very, very high level. If you look at Microsoft, it has gone down 1.44%. So these are the ones which are showing it the negative. The other smaller companies with smaller components of the index are gaining, and that's why we are very close to zero as far as the NASDAQ is concerned. So let's go and look at our own biotech shares. And I'm just going to sort this out for us so that we can see it in a proper order. And now when I look at this, the first share out here, the biggest winner is NTLA. it's challenging resistance, which is at 100.64. We are at 98.93. This is a long-term candle. This is a one day. One candle is 1 day. This is a long-term chart, and as you can see, we are in a bearish downward channel. And this green line here was the lower bounds of the channel. Momentarily, we broke down. We had a bullish divergence, and that has resulted in us going upwards. So I'm going to remove this bullish divergence. It doesn't exist anymore because it has been realized and we have gone up. Our next resistance is here, as I mentioned you. And the MACD in the long term is looking bullish. And also the momentum is also looking like it's picking up in the long term view. If we come to a 1 day view, we can see that MACD has just overcrossed the signal line, and RSI is also having pretty good momentum. So we will retain most of these gains by the end of the day, provided the VIX doesn't move otherwise. Elogene is up 4.37%, and it has got a bullish MACD, and it has got a slightly flagging momentum in the RSI, but overall it is looking positive. And if the VXN continues to stay low, we could probably retain most of these gains by the end of the day. The time is now around 1:27, so we still have another 3 hours to go before the market close. Editas is up 3.94%, and it's a gain of 0.75 cents. So our MACD has just about turned bullish, and it's running along with the signal line, so it doesn't give much of a clue. And the RSI has just dropped below neutral, and it is headed downwards, so it's showing a falling momentum. And we'll have to wait and see what happens with Editas. As long as the VXN is staying at the current position or slightly below, we can retain these gains. But if the VXN were to spike back up, we're going to lose all this 74 cents. Now let's look at CRISPR. CRISPR Therapeutics is up 3.83%, and we have been struggling to break through this resistance at 66.36. We attempted it 1, 2, 3 times, 3 minutes, and we have been pushed down. But fortunately for us, we are supported by the 20-day EMA, which is this red line, and the orange line, which happens to be the 50-day EMA. So we got two immediate supports out here, and the MACD is running parallel to the signal line, but just slightly below it. So it's not bullish, but it's not totally bearish either. The momentum is above average, but it is trending downwards. So given all that, I would say that CRISPR will end positive today, but maybe it may not go above 2.56 unless VXN decides to go down further and doesn't spike anymore. Teladoc is up 3.50%. Teladoc has been a very beaten up stock. If you go to a 1 year view, you will see that it has been beaten up severely. It has fallen from 285.77 or thereabouts. So let's go for bring it here. So at one point of time, it was at around 300, and right now it's at 79.47. So it's starting to gain its legs, and our MACD is bullish. This is a long-term chart. The MACD has turned bullish on the long-term chart. The RSI momentum is picking up in the long-term chart, and our next resistance happens to be at 83.13. And if I go to a 1 day outlook, MACD is bullish, RSI is also bullish. So I would expect Teladoc to continue retaining the gains, maybe stay above $2 today, and continue its momentum upwards. Next, let us look at PACB. I've got half a mind to buy a little bit of PACB today. It looks like it's gaining some legs. It's up 1.70%. That's around 19 cents, and it's kind of getting a support from our 20-day EMA, which is this red line. That is what is kind of supporting it so far. After that, we have our 50-day and 100-day EMA also to support it. So we are looking at a whole lot of support just below where PACB is right now. The MACD is turning a little bearish, and the momentum is also falling a little bit. But I think we have reached the stage where there must be a selling fatigue, and we should be turning around to a bullish reversal anytime now. I'm personally thinking of probably accumulating a little of these shares because most of my money is tied up in the market right now. I have got very little money. I can't do the bigger shares, so maybe I can look at a $11 share like PACB and see where it goes. And as you can see, while we were speaking, it has dropped down further. So I really don't know what's happening here, but my gut feel says that the bottom is already in place. I'm going to draw a line here, which is going to link up the bottoms here. and this is going to be the support, additional support for this for the price for TACV, and we got to bounce back above that, but then we'll face the resistance from the 20-day EMA. So this is going to go on. Let us see when we have the results for TACV. The earnings are coming up on 3rd of February, and this expectation is 28 cents. Let us hope that that becomes a catalyst for this to move upward. Now let's go to ARCG. ARCG is up 1.33%. Again, a severely beaten up stock. The positive for ARCG is that we are above this long-term green line. If you look at the long-term view, you can see that we have a channel, a bearish channel within which we were moving, and the bearish channel started somewhere around 10th of February 2021, and it has kept us all the while, and this green line has been supporting the channel for all this long, and then we momentarily broke down below it, and today we are above it. And if we continue to stay above this green line, then we have a chance of being able to challenge the next resistance, which is going to be at 50.48, and that happens to be the 200-day EMA. So that's what we need to cross, and we have the support from the 50-day and the 100-day EMA, which is again a good thing. So I'm hoping for the best for ARCG. Let's look at Novartis, which is up 1.14%, and if I go back into a one-day view, I can see that we are above support, which is at 87.69, and our MACD is flat, and momentum is sort of breaking down. So I'm expecting Novartis to end the day positively, but not as high as 98 cents. Let's go to look at Verb, which is almost flat at minus 0.4%, and we have in this, if you look at the RSI, we have a support for RSI, which is this red line out here, and we are knocking at that support. So I'm expecting a bounce back for Verb, and maybe it will end the day green. But if it breaks down below that, then we are going to have a little bit of trouble out here. So I'm hoping that the RSI support, which we have here, the red line, which is at 29.71, continues to help us to bounce back and capture some positives out here, and maybe end the day with a positive of 5 cents or something like that. Let's look at Vertex, which is down minus 0.07%, and we have a very bearish MACD, and we have a totally weak momentum on this share. So I don't think we are going to look at anything positive today unless the VIX dips down further. But in my mind, Vertex is really a good company, and I think it's in a bullish channel if I look at the long-term view. And if I had some money, I would probably look at buying small portions of Vertex at this point of time to start dollar cost averaging, because we have recovered a significant amount since the break that happened 1st December 2021 onwards. We have been on this upward momentum. We consolidated a bit sideways, and then we went up again. We had a bearish divergence, which is now gone, because both RSI as well as the price are moving in the same direction. So I'm going to remove it. So the bearishness did not happen. So this is all good signs for Vertex. And in the long term, I mean, not for today, but for this week, it will always have a positive outlook. Beam is down 0.53%, and we are challenging our next resistance at 70.08. Right now, we are at 68.80. In the long term, the MACD is looking bullish, and so is the RSI. But if we go to the short term outlook, our MACD is bearish, and the RSI's momentum is low. That's the reason why we are not doing as well today. However, we started the day lower and we have come up, and so that's a very good sign. As we are speaking, we can see that there's a lot of fluctuation out here, volatility. We are being restricted by the 200-day EMA, which is this green line that we see here. So we need to break through that first in order to make any move further ahead. So for today, I am looking at Beam being in the red. Let's look at Regeneron, which is up, which is down minus 20%, and the MACD is also bearish, and so is the RSI. But if I was to zoom out for a long-term vision, I can show you this pennant that we have here, and I would assume this pennant is on a upward movement, and therefore I'm expecting this to break upward either on or before 4th of February when the results are due. And right now we have a red candle which has pierced both the top. If you can look at it very carefully, it has pierced the top of this pennant as well as the bottom of this pennant, and this is what we call as a doji candle because it shows indecision. People are stuck on whether to push up the price or drop down the price and bail out of this share because they're not sure what to expect in the earnings. So we'll look at what happens in the next few days. It's not too far off. My bet is that it's going to go upward. Pfizer is down 0.17%, and it's on top of a support which is at 52.48, and I'm expecting that to stay above that support today. Let's go on to IMTX. It's down 0.99%. It's still above its support as 9.65. MACD is turning slightly bullish, but it's at a bearish state right now, and momentum is picking up. So probably we might end up the day flat for IMTX. Bluebird is down 1.90%, and it's also battling a resistance at 7.97, which it pierced briefly. And the MACD is turning bullish, and the momentum is also slightly improving. So I would expect that we would continue to challenge the resistance and probably end up above that by the end of the day, assuming that the VIX doesn't spurt further. So that's all I have for you today when it comes to NASDAQ. And I hope that you enjoyed this session. And sorry for being a bit late today, but overall, the market seems to be going in the right direction. So I would request you to put a like on the video. And if you are here for the first time, please subscribe to our channel. And we are all about CRISPR. And we do special features on the weekends. So you'll have a lot of interesting things to see here. Please join our community. And all of you guys, thanks for your time. Have a wonderful day. And I will see you tomorrow. Signing off for now.